Welcome to TICE. The Indian cab sharing market is fiercely competitive. There are many new players constantly emerging. Among them is ViaDOTS, a disruptor with a mission to decentralize the Indian cab market. Well, ViaDOTS is not just another ride-hailing app. It's a platform dedicated to making rides smoother for both riders as well as drivers through their innovative driver-operated transport system. But that's not all. ViaDOTS also empowers drivers to become entrepreneurs. Wondering how? Let's get into this enticing conversation with Mr. Vyshak Simha, the Chief Executive Officer at ViaDOTS. Welcome, Vyshak.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
So to begin with the conversation, can you tell my audience what is ViaDOTS all about?
ViaDOTS is a disruptor in the cab hailing industry, especially or in the ride sharing segment. We are a SaaS-based company, and we are not an aggregator. Our focus is to provide a software for both riders and drivers, a place or a marketplace to enable affordable, accessible, and safe rides. That's our main objective, and we look to be a disruptor in the industry and taking it up a notch. That's what we do.
Alright, Vyshak, can you also elaborate how ViaDOTS really came into being and what is the innovative technology that ViaDOTS is working on?
So, firstly, coming to the point of us coming into the line of this business, actually is very interesting. So when we came across going in a lot of cabs, and drivers used to complain of the fact that they're not getting the exact amount or the reward that they need for running their business. So the main idea is that currently in all scenarios of all the aggregators that are available today, they treat the cab owners as contractors, right? But what we believe is that they're owners of their own business. So it's a micro business, right? Like you would say, if you have a kirana shop, or if you have your own, if you today start a business, the car is the business for them, right? And many companies are taking away that whole business ownership of them. They're giving them set prices. They're not able to make any difference. There are lots of commissions that are being taken to enable rides between the riders and drivers. So we wanted to disrupt that, because many of these cab drivers were feeling that they need to get away from the current aggregators, and they wanted to be truly their own business owners. And it's an opportunity to be entrepreneurs, and they are entrepreneurs, but they're not recognized as entrepreneurs. So it's a shame, actually, right? So we wanted to bring that into light and give them the onus of firstly, having no commissions that they have to pay for the rides that they're doing. And in return, what happens is that when they become entrepreneurs, riders also get a better service, because then what happens is all cabs are not in the same level playing field, right? So a good cab driver who maintains his car and makes sure that the riders have a comfortable ride gets the kind of price that he wants to charge, right? And with all this vision, and also it eliminates on the other side, which the riders are constantly being surged during these peak hours, right? And there could be various different scenarios where they don't get a cab because of this surge pricing. Only the ones which have the highest amounts get picked off, and during certain emergencies during those peak hours, they can't do anything about it. And price plays a very important role in a person who daily commutes in a cab, because we were just doing a random calculation. I was doing a calculation for myself. Today, going in a cab is so expensive that you can afford to buy a car and fuel it yourself, right?
Exactly.
If you do, like, even like if you go, a person in Bangalore especially spends about, like, up and down about 1,000 rupees a day, which makes it about 30,000, and he has to deal with all these hassles of waiting for a cab. Is the cab driver coming and not coming? The supply and demand are not fully met, right? So this will decentralize the whole process, right? Take it away into the ride sharing space will get more decentralized, and we act as mostly a marketplace where you can be like another Amazon, Flipkart, and various other places where you can just come in, look for your ride supplier, get to use them. You're happy with them, rate them, and keep continuing to use them. That's the idea behind of ViadDOS, and that's how we will be a disruptor in the industry.
Vyshak, you talked about your plans to empower drivers to be entrepreneurs. But do you really think that the Indian market and the drivers are really ready for this change?
Um, I think that's a journey that they have to go through, right? So any technology that's coming in requires a certain amount of education that needs to be put in place. But one thing that we see that the drivers are willing to make those changes. So we have different set of drivers in our ecosystem right now, where there are some of them, like 80% of them are purely dependent on aggregator apps just commanding the fact that, you know what, take this pricing, just drive, because they don't have the inclination to think about saying I can be a businessman, right? But then there are this 20% of the drivers who are actually out of these aggregator apps, and they're actually using or doing their business through WhatsApp and other mediums. So they have their own specific clients and they want to improve, and they're doing very well. They actually earn over a lakh in plus, and that's what I think we should be. Like if their monthly investment is about 30 to 40,000, they should be at least earning 3 to 4 times the money, which they are doing. So that means the learning curve exists, right? But the learning curve does not exist with all the 80%. That's where viaDOTS will make a difference. We will spend enough in time and resources to educate them. And once they start getting the hang of it, it is an app that can be usable. Because our current scenario is that we have not made an app which is completely different of the ones that the others aggregators are using, but it relates to them their story. So we basically meet the benchmarks of the other aggregators and elevating it to a business level. So that way the learning curves become shorter. So a guy who doesn't know, who's been using the other aggregator apps, comes into play and says, hey, I can still use viaDOTS, it's easy for me to use it. And then he says, oh, you know what, I can still be an entrepreneur with it. I still have that capability. So that's how we are educating them about it. And currently we're just in a pilot run. So there's so much that we could do. There's so many people. So we've actually, even though we've launched the pilot in Bangalore, we have people, cab drivers, going onto our Google review and saying that, hey, you know what, I'm in Shirdi, can you launch this in Shirdi? Imagine Shirdi is a place where cabs have a different system altogether,
Right.
and they say, can you launch it in Shirdi? I would love to use your app. So we're getting a different kinds of feedback from there. So people are going to get onto it, and uh, good products become a virality over a period of time, and education plays a very important role in that.
All right. So right now, viaDOTS is in a pilot stage, right? And it is present in Bangalore. But are there any plans to expand to different cities anytime soon?
So I think our pilot's going to extend for another 2 months, right? So we are testing out the number of users and how the seamlessness of the app in making sure the rides are enabled, the safety features that we have enabled. Uh, because safety is something that we still hold with us and not give it to the ownership of the driver or the rider. We do have a stringent KYC process that we look into. So we wanted to see if everything is functioning well before we scale, because scaling at this level will cause a lot of inconvenience if things don't go well, right? So I think in the next 2 months we're looking to launch in about another 11 cities, 12 cities, because we have a very robust software at the back end, where for us to launch cities is actually very easy. So when we started building it, we built with the vision that it's going to be for entire India. So it's not at all a problem for us to say that tomorrow it's going to be 11 cities or it's going to be 100 cities of India. We can easily scale. So we have that capability. But the only thing what we want to do is, when we are opening up different zones, Bangalore is one of the toughest cab hailing or even the ride sharing industry. After Delhi, Delhi takes the top of ride sharing, and Bangalore comes second. But it's unbelievable. But the Bangalore taxi prices are more expensive than Delhi as well, or any city for a matter of fact. And with an industry like being in Bangalore and you understand the problems, then other cities become a lot more easier to handle. So we are finishing off all of that, and we are looking at Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, Ahmedabad, and Chennai, and a couple of other cities like Mysore. Tier 2 cities are also going to be in play. So this also gives us the ability to expand into tier 3 cities as well, and and it's not restricted, so anybody can use it, right? It's a software. They just have to buy that software and say, okay, fine, I'm going to use this. And the other advantage that we have is the fact that we have a feature called the digital meter taxi. Okay. So it is not dependent if once a driver has viaDOTS, correct? They will be able to take rides with anybody. If somebody is standing on the road trying to hail an auto of any kind or a bus, they can just go stop there and say, you know what, I can take you to XYZ place. You want to know what's your estimate? Know the estimate and go ahead. So that means any city can have this, right? So because it's very easy to move around with, and the riders don't need to even have an app. That's the beauty of it. So the drivers are becoming entrepreneurs in this sense.
Vyshak, you mentioned about how drivers are adapting to it, but could you also shed some light on how rider behavior is towards viaDOTS?
So riders love it, right? Because they get like prices which are very nominal, right? And they see that it's working. So we have a lot of early adopters. So we have right now onboarded about 10,000 riders, and we are very thankful to these early adopters, and they're very religious about it. But through their riding journey, we have learned a lot. So we have been able to create multiple personas in terms of how the rider behaviors are. So there are riders who want really quick rides. Like, the other day I was just talking to a rider and asked him, why did you cancel the ride? The driver was on your way to pick up. He said the time was too much. So, but the time was actually 5 minutes. And he said, I needed something much faster than 5 minutes. So he was that kind of a rider, right? And we said, oh, wow, there are people who are looking for rides in just the next 1 minute or 2 minutes. How can we address to something so quick? Because bare minimum to go anywhere about in Bangalore will take about 5 minutes, even if you're in a 1 kilometer radius or even 500 meters, right? So it's very interesting behaviors that we learn. We have riders who expect the the cab quality to be really really high. They don't mind spending the kind of money that they. It's a little bit more than the usual cab fares. And then you have ones who are just saying the price is the most important thing. So that is something that we've learned over a period of time. Right now, the cab fares in Bangalore are set by us, but we are opening it up with the new features that we're going to launch. We're going to open it up for the drivers to set it themselves for their car, pitch the riders, and then the riders will be able to say, okay, fine, you know what? Uh, XYZ person is going to only do airport rides at a very minimal price of just 20 rupees. And his car is okay, fine, I'll still take it because 20 rupees is what I wanted. At. But there could be a rider who says, hey, you know what? I want an airport ride that is completely with an amazing car, which is a new Swift Desire. And there is a guy like this. I will go to him. So that's how we are learning about it. And I think this is a never ending journey because India is uh, a very interesting market actually. Being the fact that being an Indian also, I understand that how much variability that I have had in this over 10 years. I've changed from a price sensitive rider to a comfort or convenience sensitive rider, right? So, and imagine we have 120 crores as population, and we are talking about not even 40% is not even urbanized, and we have so much to learn from the entire community. And I think we'll keep learning that for like maybe another 10, 15 years, the ride sharing space.
You talked about the diversity in the market, but with it also comes a huge competition. From new entrants like Blue Smart and InDrive to the giants like Ola and Uber, there is a tough competition. So, where do you see viaDOTS in this big Red Sea?
To be honest, we entered in as a startup and into like a red ocean, right? It will like, where everybody is fighting for their share. But I really like the competition because the competition is what it's supposed to be. It should never be a monopoly or a duopoly in any markets, especially like developing countries, because the competition helps the leaders also to be on their toes, right? They're always looking to give the best service. And for us, like where we are not leaders and we are entering a space where there are mammoths in the industry, right? And with many organizations that are coming to decentralize this process, like ONDC is one of them, who are decentralizing this whole e-commerce space. And we are also having a lot of discussions with them about how we can collaborate with them and do this, because it's very very important that for everybody to have a fair share of a service, right? It should be fair enough. It should be usable and accessible. And I think every one of us here, I appreciate all the competition that we've got, all the companies that we are competing with, the small, the big, the mighty, everyone, because we all learn from each other. I'm learning every day, right? And what differentiates viaDOTS in this space is that we are trying to make something that is does not exist. We are trying to do something that's a lot more larger, right? To give more feasibility and in mobility, the pun intended, to have mobility, right? You have to have that convenience, right? And to go about what's happening. So I think it's really good to be in this space. I think what will happen over the years is that the red ocean will soon get divided into smaller blue oceans, right? Where our larger competitors may take a certain space. Some will be totally niched out into the certain states, and because even our regulations are so different, right? We have central regulations and we have state regulations. So this will actually open up a lot of innovation, and that innovation really really helps to actually bring out the best product, the most suitable product. Because now when we are talking about in the mobility or the ride sharing, it's just not taxis, it's just not cabs, right? People should start thinking about end-to-end mobility, like last mile concept, right? So you want to go to Delhi, in, say for example, for a wedding in a certain hotel, and you're sitting out of Bangalore, you open viaDOTS and you say, hey, you know what, I want to go to so Radisson Blue in Delhi, for example, right? Your flight tickets, your everything is booked in one shot, right? Like that's in last mile mobility, right? And that's very interesting to have, because that makes a seamless experience for a customer. Because today now we have different apps for airlines, different apps for railways, different apps for taxis, different apps for metro. Everybody is disconnected. So bringing all of this together and knitting the story, then your entire India is connected. It makes a huge difference. The economy will just go like ballistic about it, right? Like when you have everybody connected and so seamlessly.
So now we have a fair idea about viaDOTS and its goals. But Vaishak, if I talk about your personal entrepreneurial journey, how has it been and what really enticed you about entrepreneurship?
So for me, it's just been an amazing experience, right? So I've always worked in a company, and even with viaDOTS, I'm working with them, and we're doing so many different things. And I've been in these shoes for just over a year now, and trying different things. You get to learn a lot, right? And I come from a very consulting industry background. So we've having worked in my previous company, which is Kaizen Institute. We were with various different clients, understanding what they do and what are the problems that you're in. And you always feel that, hey, you know what, we can do better. But when you're in this space of the business yourself, you are wondering, hey, you know what, there's so much to do. And I get to interact with some amazing developers, my operations team, my marketing team. They're also enthusiastic about being a part of something that could be like revolutionizing the right space. And also it's also revolutionizes their personal space as well, right? Many of us here we have not got a chance to be a part of the Flipkarts, the Zomatos, or the Ubers of the world, right? And they're all excited, and you can see that excitement here. Saying when we got our first ride, uh, it was post like us like launching after 3 months, right? So we were trying to figure out what is happening. Rides are not happening. So the first ride happened, and everybody in the office is excited. You could see that like grin on everybody's face. Then we reached five. So when we reached five rides, I was the most. I was very excited. So I keep telling this story to everybody because one of my colleagues who was in the development team said, "I'm going to record this, Vyshak, okay? Because we will have an annual meet maybe a few years down the line when we're doing millions of rides, and you'll be saying targets are not being met, right? And I'm going to show this video of you getting really excited for five rides." I said, "Yeah, that's an interesting thing that I would definitely love to see." So everybody is like geared up. So this journey has been superb and splendid. And I think it's heading towards a very interesting direction.
Coming to the end, to wrap up this conversation, what will be the 3 key tips from you for the aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
My first tip would be to understand what is the kind of product that you're looking to get into, right? Like product or a service. If it's a product that's already existing and you're trying to, make it better, like what we are doing in this space, customer insights are very very important. You need to understand your customers. You need to do whatever it takes to research, and then you build a product or a service, right? And then once you meet the benchmark of your customers and uh, of any kind, then you better your leaders. Okay, that's my first thing. So always look at, if it's a new product that's nobody has come across, then you're obviously going to have to put in a lot of what do I say, like spirit and passion into why you want to do this, right? Because that is something that's very important. And then as you keep going along, you get more feedback and you improve your products. So that's my first thing. Second thing is that it should be a never give up attitude, right? Like you're going to have a lot of ups and downs in this scenario, right? Mostly a lot of downs that look like it's never going to end, right? Don't be disheartened about it. Those downs are a great learning for your organization. Record all those downs and also record the fact that I'm saying literally record it on an Excel sheet or anywhere. See those downs and say, what are these improvements that you kept doing? Okay. And how did those improvements sustain your growth? Okay. That's something that's very, very important. And the third thing is, this is, I take it from my previous company, which I learned a lot about, is the Kaizen culture, right? Imbibe the Kaizen culture, which the Japanese have brought in, which is very successful culture of continual improvement, right? Sustaining the improvements that you make. Start that from day one. Because if you are a person who's looking to build a large and high performing organization, the most important thing is the culture of Kaizen in your company, where everyone is looking to improve every day, everywhere aspect of your company. It's a top-down initiative, right? And my previous company founder, late Masaki Imai, also said the only thing that matters for a successful implementation of a Kaizen culture is top management commitment, top management commitment, and top management commitment. And that is something that you guys should do. Start it from day one. Keep process excellence always at the back of your mind, saying that, you know what, removing waste in processes is very important. Don't wait for you to become a large company and then do this backwards. But when you start doing that, everybody in your organization is going to be really, really happy. They'll be disciplined, and they will not look for motivation. Motivation is like a one-time drug. If you have it, you'll be excited. If you don't have it, you'll not be excited. So Kaizen builds a habit and discipline, which I think everybody should have.
Thank you, Vyshak. Thank you for getting into this enticing conversation with TICE.